Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video we are making another tutorial, another dress. I actually originally designed this dress about 2 years ago. So I wanted to give you guys another version in case I just didn't want to make the same thing. I already have a pattern for the other dress, this dress that I did design about 2 years ago. So if you wanted to make this one instead, of course, feel free to check the pattern on my website. I'll link it down below. So in this tutorial I am using this yarn. Obviously I already used everything, so it's looking a bit crazy, but I am using acrylic yarn, which is just a basic medium weight yarn, and I did use a total of 800 to 900 gram for my size, and I did make a size medium to large. So keep that in mind when buying yarn for this project. I am also going to be using 2 elastic. Usually I'll use the tiny elastic band and just cut and sew or tie, but I do not have that in stock at the moment, so I am using just a basic hair band, but I am using the one that is very stretchy and doesn't cut, so you have to make sure you use the right amount of band. So I'm basically going to use two, and we'll be needing these for the sleeves. I'm using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. I did use this for the entire project, so you would not be needing any other crochet hook except 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. You would also be needing measurement tape and scissors. These two bad boys. You will be needing a measurement tape and scissors because you basically need to take your measurement for the dress. So the measurements that you will be needing are just few. The first measurement that you will be needing for the panel is your armpit to armpit measurement, and that is basically from one side of your armpit to the opposite side. And mine is 12 and a half, 13 inches, so you're going to be needing that. The next measurement you'll be needing is your bust measurement, and that is just basically around your bust area. You want to make sure that this is loose because you don't want it to be too tight. So loose, make sure the measurement tape actually goes around it. The next measurement you'll be needing is actually your desired dress length. So mine I think was 32 inches. So you're going to start from your shoulders up until, make sure your measurement tape goes above your bust area, right above your bust, from your shoulder above onto your bust and all the way to your desired length. So this dress is 32 inches like I mentioned. So after your desired length, the other measurement you'll be needing is your armpit hole measurement, because that is when you're going to determine how wide you want the armpit area to be. And for that, you're just going to take your measurement tape around your armpit. You want to make sure that this is loose because you don't want it to be too tight. Make sure you can actually lift your arm like this while you're taking the measurement. And the next measurement you'll be needing is just your desired sleeve length. So mine I think is 16 inches. Yes, 16 inches. So you're basically going to take the measurement right from your shoulder, right on top of your shoulder, until where you want your sleeve to actually be. That is basically it, and those are the measurements that you will need in for this tutorial. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Of course, feel free to drop the questions down in the comment section, and if you like this video, which I know you would, this tutorial, kindly give me a big thumbs up so I'll know you guys enjoy videos like this. And if you haven't subscribed, of course subscribe. What are you waiting for? Yeah, I guess let's get right into the tutorial. So to get started, you're going to make a slip knot. And in this case, because my armpit to armpit measurement is 12 and a half inches, I'm going to go ahead and make a chain that is 12 and a half inches wide. So after the chain, I'm going to go ahead and chain one, and right into the second chain from the hook, I'm going to go with my first double crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat 1 double crochet in every space up until the very end of the row. So after row 1, I am going to go ahead and chain 1 to get started with row 2. And right into the first double crochet, I'm just going to go right in there with my first double crochet. So the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, it's just a starting chain. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and add 1 double crochet in every double crochet from the previous row. And I'm basically going to continue this up until the end of the row and continue this for additional 6 rows. And I'll come back when I have a total of 8 rows so we can actually start increasing for the bust. So right here I have my 8 rounds of double crochet complete. So from here on we are going to start increasing for the bust area, and with the increasing, depending on the size, you're just evenly going to increase each and every row, which I'll show you the increase pattern for your desired bust measurement. If you are, I am making a size medium to large, so you can actually do the same increase pattern. It's basically the same thing, but if you're making a size smaller, then you would need to stop out some certain rows and then continue the rest of the row without increasing. If you're making a size bigger than what I'm making, that means you have to go more rows of increasing, which you see along the way. So to get started with row 8, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn, and right into this first double crochet I'm going to go with 2 double crochets because that is going to be the first increase. And from here on I'm just going to go with 1 double crochet in every double crochet up until the very end, where I'm going to go ahead and do the second increase for this row. So coming to the end of row 9, I am going to go into this last double crochet with 2 double crochets just to complete the increase on this row. Right there we have 2 double crochets at the beginning and 2 double crochets at the end. So to get started with row 10, we are going to chain 1 and we are going to go ahead and increase again for the row 10. And with that I'm going to go right into this first double crochet with a double crochet, and I'm going to go right into the same space, the same double crochet with another double crochet. And from here on I'm just going to repeat 1 double crochet up until the very end of the row, where I'm going to go ahead and do another increase for row 10. So right here, coming to the end of row 9, I still have my 1 last single crochet. I'm going to go right into this last double crochet with 2 double crochets to end off the row. Right there. So at this point you can see that the increasing. So to get started with row 11 is going to be no increase or no decrease. So we're basically going to go ahead and do 1 double crochet from the beginning to the end with no increasing at the beginning or at the end of the row. So to get started I'm going to of course chain 1 and turn, and into this first double crochet I am going to go with a double crochet and into the next with another double crochet. And like I said, I'm basically just going to repeat 1 double crochet up until the very end of the row, because row 11 is going to be a no decrease row. So again, like you've seen, the increase pattern is basically 2 rows of increase and 1 row of no increase, and you're going to repeat this until you have your desired bust measurement when it's divided. So mine in my own case is 38, so when I divide that it gives me a total of 19 inches. And remember at the beginning this was a total of 12.5 inches at the beginning, because that's the measurement for my armpits to my armpit hole. So that's the measurement. So I'm basically, and currently I have a total of 13.5 inches after my first set of increase. So I'm basically going to continue to increase until I have a total of 19 inches width of the panel, because this is going to be able to fit around my bust area. So depending on your size and depending on your bust measurement, you're basically just going to repeat the increase pattern, which is 2 rows of increase and 1 row of no increase until you have your desired bust measurement when it's divided by 2. So I'm gonna get mine done, and then I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is for the pattern. So right here I'm back with my panel, and I have a total of 26 rows. Again, depending on the size you're making, you might actually have more or even less than I do. So at this point you can see that my panel is currently 19 inches, which is the perfect measurement for my bust area, and the length is currently 11 inches. So I am going to go ahead from now on to just do rows of double crochet, 5 rows actually of double crochet with no increasing and no decreasing, because I already have the desired length for my bust measurement. So the 5 rows are actually supposed to make the panel long enough to actually reach my waist measurement, which I'm going to start increasing for the rest of the pattern. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is. So right here I have my 31 rows complete. I finished the remaining 5 rows of no increase or decrease. So these are the 5 rows, and at this point the panel is 13.5 inches long, which is the perfect length. So now from here on we are going to go ahead and increase for the bottom part of the dress, and to do that we are just see. So for the increase pattern, I ended up going back because what I filmed was not actually what I wanted, so I had to go back and redo it. So from this video you can see, from this clip you can see that the increase pattern is 1 double crochet in the first, 2 double crochet in the first double crochet, and 1 in the next, 2 in the next, and just like back and forth with 1 and 2. But the actual increase pattern that I did for the pattern is 2 double crochet in each double crochet. So instead of going back and forth with 2 double crochet in one and 1 double crochet in the next, you are going to go ahead and do 2 double crochet in each double crochet from the previous row for the entire row. So from the beginning to the end of the row, that is what you're going to do. So right here I actually just finished row 32, and to get started with the next row we are going to chain 1, and you're going to go ahead and actually do your first double crochet in the first space, and I'm going to go ahead and do 4 more double crochets in the next 4 double crochets from the previous row. So I'm going to go into the next with a double crochet, into the next with a double crochet, the next with a double crochet, and into the next with another double crochet. So right there we have 5. So into the 6th we are going to go with 2 double crochets instead of 1 double crochet, all in that same space. This is the second increase row. So from here on I'm going to go ahead and do 5 more double crochets in the next 5 double crochets from the previous row. 3, 4, 5. And into the 6th, of course, I'm going to go again with 2 double crochets. So I'm going to repeat this increase pattern, which is 5 double crochets, and into the 6th you're going to go with 2 double crochets for the entire row of row 33. And I'm going to come back and just show you guys what the next step is. So after that increase row, I am going to go ahead and do 30 rows of double crochet with no increasing and no decreasing. I'm just going to chain 1 at the beginning, and I'm going to do this until I have the total of 30 rows, and then I'll see you guys at that point. So right here I have my 30 rows of double crochet complete. So again, you're going to put this across your body, or take your measurement from your belly button up until your desired dress length. I want mine to be 32 inches in total. So at this point I have a total of 26, but again this stretches, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on the bottom pattern of the dress. So again, put this across your body and take the measurement of how long you want your dress to be, and you're just going to subtract 4.5 inches from that desired measurement, and you're basically going to work this actual bottom part of the pattern until you have that desired length when you subtract 4 and affirm it. So to get started with the next row, which in my case is 32 rows from this point below, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and now we are going to work the granny stitch just to add a little bit of difference to the lower part of the dress. And to do that, I am going to go right into this first double crochet with a double crochet, because I want to make sure I keep a straight line. So I'm going to go right into that first double crochet with a double crochet. From here on, I'm going to skip 2 double crochets, and into the third I'm going to go with 3 double crochets, which is just the same as a granny stitch, right there. Going to skip 2 and into the third, so I'm going to skip 1, 2, and into the third I'm going to go with another 3 double crochet, all in the same space. Skip 2 and into the third I'm going to go with 3 double crochets, all in that same double crochet space. Right there. So I'm going to repeat this until I get to the very end of the row, and I'll show you guys how we are going to end the row off. A total of 3 double crochets remaining, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this 2, and into the last double crochet I'm going to go with a double crochet to end of the row. So you're basically going to repeat this granny stitch pattern until you have 3 more double crochets left. So from here on, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, turn, and I'm going to repeat the granny stitch pattern. And to do that, I'm going to go right into this first with a double crochet. Again, like I said, I want to start and end of the row with a double crochet. So after my first double crochet, I'm going to skip this right here, the space between this first double crochet and the granny stitch, and I'm going to go in between the second space with my first granny stitch instead. Right there. And I'm going to repeat this pattern. Right in between these two spaces, I'm going to go with another granny stitch. Right in between these two granny stitch, I'm going to go with another one. And this is basically what I'm going to do until the end of the row. Again, you're going to end of the row with a double crochet instead of a granny stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat this for 1 more row. So in total, I'm going to go ahead and have 3. I will come back when I have 3 complete so I can show you what the next step is. So coming to the end, I am going to go into this last space with 3 double crochet, all in that same space. And to end off the row, I'm going to go right into this last double crochet with a double crochet just to end off the row right there. And to get started with the next, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. My first double crochet in this first double crochet right there, and I'm going to go ahead and work my first granny stitch into this first space. And repeat this for the end of the row until the end of the row. So now that I have my 3 rows of granny stitch complete, I am going to go ahead and do 2 rows of basic double crochet row, and then I'm going to repeat the granny stitch pattern again, and then I'll repeat 2 more rows of the basic double crochet pattern. So to get started, I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and right into this first double crochet I'm going to go with a double crochet into this next, where we have 3 sets of double crochets. I'm basically going to add 1 double crochet right on top of every double crochet from the previous row, because again, like I said, this is going to be a basic double crochet row, and I'm just going to repeat this up until the very end of the row, chain 1 and repeat this for 1 more row. afterwards I'm going to go ahead and repeat the 3 sets of double crochet granny stitch row again, and then I repeat 2 more rows of basic double crochet. I'm gonna get that done and then I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is. So again, like I mentioned, I have 2 rows of double crochet. I repeated the 3 rows of granny stitch and 2 more rows of double crochet. So at this point my back panel is complete and we are going to work on the front panel. The front panel and the back panel are similar. The only difference is, remember at the beginning of the row, the beginning of the back panel, I did a total of 8 rows after chaining for the back panel before I started increasing for the bust area. So the only difference between the back panel and the front panel is, instead of 8 rows, you're going to go ahead and do 4 rows instead of 8. And then from there, you're going to start increasing up until you have your waist. And then you're going to increase for the rest of the dress. So I would suggest you go back to check how we started the back panel, because it's basically the same. The only difference is, instead of 8 rows, you will be doing 4 rows. But no worries, because we are going to go ahead and shape the neckline with the remaining 4 rows that we subtracted from the back panel, which you would see in the next clip. So to get started with the neckline, I am going to take my yarn and I'm going to attach it to one side of the panel. So again, at the beginning, this is the beginning of the panel. I'm going to attach my yarn to one side and make a secure knot, because we are going to start working on the neckline, which is, in this case, is just a basic square neckline. So after attaching my yarn, I'm just going to go ahead and chain 1. And right into the same first double crochet, I'm going to go with a double crochet. Into this next, I'm going to go with a double crochet. But remember, this is where we did the chain and started the panel, so it might be a bit, you might probably have to go into the chains instead of the double crochets. But I'm basically just going to go right into the chain with a double crochet. And I'm going to do 10 double crochets in this panel, in this case. So right here I have my 10 double crochets. So again, the other way to know how many double crochets you need to do for the neckline, you can put this panel across your body and determine and decide how wide you want the neckline to be. Mine, 10 is perfect for mine, and obviously I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So for me, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And I'm going to go ahead into this first double crochet with my first double crochet, and basically repeat 1 double crochet up until the very end of the row. And of course, because we subtracted 4 from the back panel, that means we are going to do a total of 4 rows, so we can actually balance the back and the front panel perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 4 rows, attach my yarn to the opposite side of the panel, which is this side, and I'm going to repeat again the same process, which is double crochet until the 10th double crochet, chain 1 and turn, and repeat that for a total of 4 rows, and afterwards I'll come back with my panel complete. So I have my 5 rows complete. I decided to add another row because I want the neckline to be right underneath my collarbone. So an extra row to the front panel will basically give the front panel or the neckline that actual low neck, but then still a square neck. You can also go ahead and add more. It doesn't really matter, because I feel like the back panel is not going to start right from your neck. It's probably going to start below, a little bit below your neckline, the back of your neck, sorry. So that works perfectly. So now I'm just going to go ahead and attach this front panel to the back panel so we can get started with the sleeves. And to do that, I am just going to grab my back panel and just lay this right there. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to grab my front panel and lay this right on top of the back panel like this, back and front. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet these two together, and I'll do the same on the opposite side as well. So I still have my yarn attached. I did not cut this off when I finished that side, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I align this 10 double crochets with the first 10 double crochets on the back panel. So I'll just 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and I'm just going to go right into that and single crochet that together. I'm just going to go ahead and turn this around and just single crochet both of them together. And I'm going to, of course, repeat the same thing on the opposite side of the panel. So now that I have these two attached together, I am going to go ahead and attach the side together of the dress. So again, you can put this across your body to see how wide you want the armpit hole to be before you start attaching your dress together. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and decide how wide I want my armpit hole to be, so you can actually make this tight or even loose. I am going to go for 8 inches, which when you multiply by 2, of course, it's 16. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and mark this area so I know I'm going to start single crocheting from this area all the way down to the end of the dress. And of course, I'm going to do the same on the opposite side as well. So again, I am going to make mine 8 inches, which basically means right here. And from here, I'm going to grab the front panel and the back panel, make sure it aligns perfectly together because I don't want it to be uneven. And from here on, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my crochet hook. If you have a stitch marker, then I would just suggest you attach your stitch marker there and do the same on the opposite side. But I don't have one with me at the moment, so I'm just going to grab my yarn and go straight into single crochet in the both sides together. So I'm going to make a secure knot, and as you can see, this is going to be the opening for my sleeve. And from here on, I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet both panels together up until the very end of the panels. So to get started with the sleeve, I am going to grab my yarn and I'm going to go ahead and insert my yarn right underneath the same area around the armpit area basically. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn with a secure knot. So from here on, I'm going to go all around the armhole with single crochets. So I'll just suggest you actually count how many single crochets you're doing because you'll be needing the same amount on the opposite side of the sleeve. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and I'm basically just going to go in every available space around the armpit area, the armpit hole, with single crochets. And I'm just going to count how many single crochets I'm doing because I'll need the same amount for the opposite side of the sleeve. So coming right at the beginning, I'm just going to go right on top of the previous row with another row of single crochet, but this time around we are going to be increasing for the sleeve, And the increase pattern is basically 1 single crochet in that first single crochet and 2 single crochet into the next single crochet from the previous row. So end of this row. So again, whenever you get to this bottom part, the same area, that means you're going to end one row and get started with the next row. So I usually don't go right into the next row to slip stitch because I do not even chain anything at the beginning. I honestly like to go right above the previous row because I feel like it gives it the same pattern and the same effect which you'd see at the end. So to get started with the next row, I am going to go right into this first single crochet that I did from the previous row. So right here, to get started with the next row, I am going to go into the first single crochet. Again, you can go ahead and add a stitch marker just so you know where the first single crochet is of each row. So I'm just going to go right into that first single crochet with a slip stitch just to end off the row. So to get started with the next, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, and right after my chain 3 I'm going to skip 2 single crochets, which is 1, 2, and into the third I'm going to go with 3 double crochet. We are just going to go ahead and work the granny stitch pattern for the sleeve as well. So right there I have my 3 double crochets, skip 2 again and into the third with 3 double crochets, all in the same single crochet space right there. Skip 2 and into the third with 3 double crochets, and I'm going to repeat this up until the very end of the row. So right here, coming to the end of the row, I have 1, 2 more single crochets. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go right into this chain 3 space with 2 double crochets just to end off the row. And I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch right into the chain 3 space. So we just ended the row with a granny stitch as well. So to get started with the next, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, and from here on I'm going to go into this first space with 2 single crochets, and the 2 single crochets is just going to balance the granny stitch pattern because we did chain 3 at the beginning, and the chain 3 is the same as a double crochet. And from here on I'm just going to go right into this next space with 3 double crochets, and I'm going to repeat this pattern back and forth. So when I'm ending the row, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch right into this chain 3 space. So because I did do 2 double crochet right into that same space to balance off the 3 double crochets, that means the next row I am going to chain 3 and end off the row with same way we ended this row off. To end off the second row, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch right into this chain 3 space we did at the beginning, and right there we have 2 rows complete. Again, to get started with the third row, just what we did at row 1 is what we're going to do, and then what we did at row 2 is what we're going to do at row 4. So we're basically going to repeat these 2 rows until we have your desired sleeve length. So like we did, we are going to go ahead and chain 3, and because we have the first granny stitch right after the chain 3, we are going to go into the next space, which is this, with a first granny stitch. And again, like we did for row 1, we are going to, when coming back to this chain 3 space, we are just going to do 2 double crochet and then slip stitch into the chain 3 space. So you're basically going to repeat this until you have a desired length. I am going to do this until I have 15 rows, then I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is. So right here I just finished my 25 rows of granny stitch for the sleeve. So now I'm gonna grab my elastic. Again, I'm just using this basic elastic band. You can actually use whatever band you have at the moment. I don't have my usual elastic band for my crochet project, so I decided to use this hairband, which is obviously very stretchy. But you have to make sure you find the one with good quality, because if not, it might actually just cut when you're working on it. So find the one with good quality that doesn't really cut like this, so you make everything easy for yourself. So now I just finished 25 row 25. So I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet around the elastic just to snatch the sleeve a bit, because we are going to go ahead and give it another single crochet row. So to do that, what I usually do, I just grab the elastic like this and grab my yarn, and I'm just going to go ahead and insert my crochet hook in this first double crochet from the previous row. So right there, again, I did slip stitch into the chain 3 to end of the row. So to get started, I'm just going to insert my crochet hook right into this. I'm going to chain 1, insert my crochet hook right into this first double crochet, and I'm not going to yarn over. I'm just going to go ahead and insert my crochet hook right underneath the elastic, and you have to make sure the yarn is above the elastic so you'll be able to grab the yarn and pull through. So I'm going to insert my crochet hook again inside the first stitch, and I'm going to put that underneath the elastic and grab my yarn and pull through. So you're basically going to pull through like you're doing a single crochet, yarn over and pull through. Again, you're going to insert your crochet hook into the next stitch right there, pull the hook underneath your elastic, grab the yarn, pull, yarn over, pull through. And that is basically what I'm going to do for each double crochet all along until I get to the beginning where I started with my row basically. So now that I am at the end of the elastic, I am just going to make sure I insert my last, because this is my chain 3 space from the previous row, and again the chain 3 is the same as a double crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and find the chain 1 that I did at the beginning and just slip stitch right into the chain 1 space to end of the row. So this is how the sleeve looks. Usually I would go back and just adjust the single crochet to make sure it's not gathered at one side, that is just equally separated. So for the next row, we are just basically going to do single crochet row, but the thing is we are not going to do single crochet in every single crochet we just did. So you want to make sure, because the sleeve is a bit puff, so you want to make sure that the single crochet rows that we're about to do can actually fit around your arm. So what I usually do is I'm going to chain 1 to begin the row, skip 2, and I go into the third with a single crochet, skip 2. I'll just roughly basically just go roughly with single crochets around this first row. So just like that, I'm just going to roughly insert 1 single crochet around. You don't have to do that in every single crochet from the previous row, like I said. Just like that, I'm just going to go with 1 single crochet in random places. Until I get to the end of the row. So right here, coming at the beginning, I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch right into that chain 1 space I did at the beginning. And from here, I'm going to chain 1, and this row I'm just basically going to do 1 single crochet in every single crochet that I did from the previous row, because now we do not have to decrease. You're basically just going to add 1 single crochet right on top of the single crochets, the random single crochets that you did from the previous row, and all around the entire row. Coming right at the beginning, I'm just again going to slip stitch right on top. So I'm basically going to repeat this for a few rows until I have my desired length Of course, you can make this as long or as short as you want to. I would also suggest, if you're a beginner, to add a stitch marker at the beginning so you know where you started your row. Like after chaining one, you can just go ahead and add a stitch marker right there. After this sleeve, you're going to repeat the same process for the opposite sleeve, and at this point your dress is complete. You're just going to sew in all the loose ends that you have